guys, welcome to part 2 of our Google Keep tutorial. The first half we covered the actual application of Google Keep, all the ins and outs in the application itself. This time we're going to be covering how it integrates with applications as well as the extension that Chrome offers. So the 3 applications that we're going to talk about Keep integration with is Google Calendar, Gmail, and Google Drive, more specifically, Google Slides. So we have gone ahead and I have taken us already to Google Calendars. You can do that one of 2 ways. You can go to your URL bar up at the top and you can type in calendar.google.com, or like every other Google application, you can click the waffle icon up here and find it listed in all the applications that Google has. So once you get to Google Calendars, we need to find an event that we want to add a note to. Now, kind of a disclaimer, this has kind of a specific use, and a lot of the examples I have found online revolve around parent-teacher conferences or meetings that have guests invited in the event. So let's go ahead and open up the event just so you can see what I'm talking about. So we'll click it and we'll click Edit Event. I have it set up like a normal event. I have parent-teacher conference for Billy. I have a time. I have it on the correct calendar. I have an attachment as well as a description. And I have the guests, which in this instance, let's pretend is Billy, his parents, and maybe a co-teacher. By having these guests, they can see the attachment and the description. Google Keep, how it plays into this, would be to add information that I do not want my guests to see. For example, maybe topics that I want to broach during the conference with Billy's parents. Things that I feel he's excelled at, or questions that I have about how he's managing his homework time at home. So to get to a Google Keep note, I am going to come to the right-hand side of my screen, and there is a Google Keep icon. When I click that, it'll open up my Google Keep and all of the notes that I have. Non-discriminatorily, it has all of them there. To go ahead and add a note that is specific to this event, I am going to either click New List, which is this little checkbox here, or Take a Note. Up front, they work the exact same way, except Take a Note has a full-bodied note, and Make a List has the checkboxes built in. So when I click the new note, the first thing I want you to notice is that it has added a label. And if you look really close, it's got a calendar and it has the name of the event as the label. This pretty much means that when I go into Google Keep, if I want to look for notes specifically for this parent-teacher conference, they are labeled accordingly. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take my note and I'm going to put questions, because these are questions I want to ask Billy or his parents. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to label them. I have all of them written up and I want to save it now. So I'm going to click Done. There is something that I want you to take notice that Google Keep does in this little sidebar. It has gone and divided my notes up into 2 sections. Recent, which is all of my notes that I've ever taken in order from most recent. The other section is Related. This is a really nice feature that Google Keep has added for this sidebar that allows you to see all of the notes that are related to the event that you are currently in. It automatically assumes that they have a higher priority because you're in that event. I really like this feature because I don't have to then go searching through all of my notes in this sidebar. So let's go ahead and actually look at what this looks like in the Google Keep application. So let's go to Google Keep. And as you can see, it automatically updated it. This is a pretty instantaneous, seamless synchronization between the applications. So we can go ahead and click that. We can edit it further if we need to. We can add all of our collaborators' organizational systems that we would to any other note that I showed you during our first tutorial. The thing that I want to point out is this label. This is the coolest feature for this integration when it comes to Google Calendars. This label is clickable. And if I click it, it will open up Google Calendar in a new tab and take me to that exact event. So I can see who's invited, I can see the description attachments, I can see who has RSVP'd and who has not. It makes it so that instead of having to search in either Google Calendars or Google Keep, I can go specifically to one of those applications and see anything between the two that I have for that specific event. So I can see the notes that I have from Google Calendars, or from Google Keep, I can see all of the event details. I don't have to keep going back and forth and back and forth. I can go to one application and find all of the information that I have for that single event in one place. Now we're going to navigate to Google, to Gmail, and it's pretty much the same idea. It stores information across multiple applications so that you don't have to search through multiple applications. You can go to one place and see all of the information you have on it. So we're in Gmail. Again, you can get there by going to your URL bar and typing in mail.google.com or by clicking your waffle icon. So the way it works with Gmail is it allows you to add extra context to an email or to add a reminder to a time-sensitive email, because I know we all have those. And if you are anything like me, my inbox is not always the most organized. I try to stay on top of it, but there are just those times when there's an influx of emails or I have my attention elsewhere and I can't keep it as organized as I want. So this adds that little extra little bit of organization that some of us really, really want during the school year. So for this example, I'm going to find an email that looks kind of time sensitive. And because this has my little explosion emoji, I'm going to click on that. And if we look, it actually is a time sensitive email. This is an email saying we have a class meet on June 26th at 3 p.m. Let's say, for the sake of this scenario, that I'm hosting this and I know that I am going to be covering Google Keep integration. So I want to add a note reminding myself what this particular meeting is going to be covering. So just like in Google Calendar, we'll come to the right-hand side and click this Google Keep icon, and it opens up all of my notes. I am going to, just like in Google Calendar, click Take a Note. And as you can see, it is labeled this note as being related to this email, so that when I'm all done, the two are kind of sewn together and we can transition between the two seamlessly. So take a note. Class meet 626, topic Google Keep integration. Okay, I have that in there. I have it saved. It is now tied to this, as we can see, because it divided our notes between related and recent again. So I know all related notes for this email are going to be up here. Now, because this is time sensitive, I want to add a reminder. And this is actually going to draw in Google Calendar, and we'll have kind of a trifecta of applications. So to set a reminder, I need to go and open this in Google Keep. I'm going to go to Google Keep. There it is, instantaneously there. And I'm going to click Remind Me down here. And I am going to set a reminder for next week at 9 a.m. so that I get reminded in my calendar that this time-sensitive email is due next week, August 10th at 9 a.m. Now, I said that this pulls in Google Calendar. Let's take a peek at what I meant by that. We go to Google Calendar and we make sure first off that our reminders calendar is checkmarked. We might have to refresh. It's refreshing. Now, that reminder that I just set in Google Keep that was relevant to an email has popped up in my Google Calendar. I can view it in Keep, which will take me to my note, which allows me to click into the email. It has sewn the three together. I can see the email itself. I can see any notes that I have on that email, and I can see it from any of the three locations, Gmail, Keep, or Calendar. Once I'm done, I can go ahead and mark it as done. I've completed the time-sensitive task from that email. It's done, and it marks it off. I really like how these applications integrate together. And again, you might all not need this, but if there's ever a point where you're like, man, I could just use that little bit extra organization, Google has tried really hard to give you that level of organization. Okay, the last one I am most excited for because I have started using the living daylights out of this. And that is the Google Slides integration. So we're going to pop over to Google Drive. At this point, I think you all know how to get there. Click the URL bar up at the top and type in drive.google.com. Or if you just said in your head, click the waffle icon, you'd be correct. You can find it there too. Okay, so we are going to make a new Google slide for the sake of this scenario. So I have my Google slide. It is still loading. Let's say that I have my planner up and there is a note that I have handwritten that I want to add to my calendar, or even one of my typed up notes. We are not limited on that. So I'm in my Google Slides. On the right hand side, I have my keep icon. I'm going to click it. It's going to show all of my notes. And we can add any of these notes to a Google slide. Absolutely any of them. The way we do that is by hovering over the note we want, clicking the three dots in the top right-hand corner of that specific note, and clicking the option Add to Slide. When we do that, it inserts it. We can then manipulate that note to fit whatever format our slide is. The thing that's really neat about this feature, well, there's a lot of things that are really neat about this feature, but for the note that I just entered, if you will recall from our first tutorial, this was a note that pulled text from an image I took on my camera. So if there is text that I want to enter into a slide from a textbook, I can take a picture of it in Google Keep, have Google Keep pull the text from that image, and then I can put that image directly into a slide. So literally I can transcribe, I believe is the correct word, a textbook straight into a Google slide for students to view. So that's for that example. The next one, we had a list that I made a note of. So if I add that, it will add the image, just like the last one. Adds an image, let's make that smaller, but it adds the list as well, and it puts it into a bullet point. But we can go ahead and convert it into a interactive checkbox for students by selecting all of the text, coming to this more icon for formatting, clicking our bullet points, and clicking the checkboxes. Now students can come in and they can check things off as they complete them. Okay, the last one, and again, this is my favorite part, is adding handwritten notes. And this is useful, in my opinion, for math because I know math isn't always the easiest to type up. So for this example, you could, on your phone, write up a math equation using your finger and your phone screen, save it as a Google Keep note, and then insert it into a slide. I absolutely love this feature. It allows me and my planner to create custom handwritten notes that add a little bit of that authentic vibe back to my digital planner. Because if you're anything like me, you sometimes feel like you lose some of that authentic instruction because of all of this digital mayhem. So you can go ahead and you can add handwritten notes directly from your phone. It doesn't have to be from a touchscreen computer, it can be from your phone, from a tablet. I love this feature and I have started using the living daylights out of it. But yeah, that's how you would use this Google Keep integration in Google Slides. Okay, that is the last of the Google application integration. But the last thing I'm going to cover is the Google Chrome extension. So for those of you that might not know, you have these extensions up here in the top right-hand corner of your Google Chrome. And most of the ones that are there, if you have not installed any, are ones that we push out through the school. That might be your ad block, which stops ads from popping up all over your browser. The herp derp tube, which changes comments in Google or in YouTube to gibberish. EasyBib, Share to Classroom. But you can install them yourself. Personally, I have gone ahead and added Google Keep extension to all of the accounts. If it doesn't show up right away, or if you need to show your students how to add it, I will show you right now. So up here by all of your extensions, there's a little puzzle piece, top right-hand corner. If we click that puzzle piece, it shows all of the extensions that either I have pushed or that people have manually installed. To get it so that Google Keep stays up there forever, we will find Google Keep. Oh, it's right here. And we're going to hit this little push pin. Once that push pin turns blue, it means we have pinned it up here to the top. So we can close that puzzle piece now. And as you can see, Google Keep is up there. So how can this be used? Glad you asked. So let's go somewhere and get some research. So I've gone to Culturegrams through ProQuest, and let's say I am doing a project on the country of South Korea, and I need to gather information for an essay. Google Keep, the extension, helps with this greatly. So what I've normally done in the past is saved to Google Drive and then gone through and highlighted, which for some works really well. But if I just want to go ahead and add snippets as opposed to the entire article, which some can be quite lengthy, I can do that directly through the web page itself, through the article. So let's go through and let's say I am going to highlight what the Korean flag symbolizes. Well, I want this section right here. So I've highlighted it, and I can take and make this a note one of two ways. I can right-click it. We have Save Selection to Keep. When I do that, little window pops up. It shows me the address of the article as well as the snippet that I highlighted. Okay, the other way that we can add a note is by coming right here. We're going to select information. We can come up here to the Google Keep extension button, and we can click it there. And that will go ahead and add it. Now, if you will notice, it combined my two notes that I just took. I showed you two examples of how to take notes, and I used different bits of information for each example, and it went and combined those two snippets of information in the order that I took them in a single note. The thing that I love about that is Google Keep automatically says, you're on the same URL, so I'm going to combine any information you highlight into a single solitary note. It automatically does that for you. So from here, I can then label my note. Let's say that I have a label for politics. I could go ahead and click label for that class, and then when I go into Google Keep, I can find all of my notes relevant to that class. So let's go look and see what that actually looks like right now. So we'll go to Google Keep, and here is the note that I just took. The reason it doesn't have a title is because I never gave it a title. But you'll notice it has a URL at the top. It's been labeled according to the class, and it has all of the information that I highlighted. I can go ahead and label it. But the thing that I really like about this feature is, let's say I'm looking through my notes and I went, now, I know this piece of information continued on, but I can't remember what it said afterwards, and I think it was useful and I forgot it. I can go ahead and click this link, open link, and it is going to take me right back to the article that I took all that information from. This could be very useful, especially if a student forgets to cite their source. They have the URL at their disposal. That's really simple and that's straightforward. That's exactly how that extension works. It just allows you to take information directly from a website and add it to Google Keep without having to have multiple things open. So yeah, that is the various side tools for Google Keep that hopefully will make your lives a little bit easier. If you have any other questions, or if I didn't cover anything that you wanted covered, or if I might need to add a little bit more explanation to something because some of this can be kind of confusing, please let me know.